2008. Jennifer Patterson was 24 years old, standing in front of her dream home. The house in Warsaw, Indiana was everything she'd hoped for. Spacious, beautiful, affordable. A perfect place to start her new life. She signed the papers, got the keys, and moved in that same week. For the first few days, everything was perfect. She unpacked boxes, arranged furniture, made the house her own. The neighborhood was quiet. The neighbors were friendly. This was exactly what she'd wanted. But on the fourth night, something changed. Jennifer was in the bathroom, getting ready for bed. She pulled the shower curtain closed, brushed her teeth, and went to her bedroom. 20 minutes later, she walked past the bathroom again. The shower curtain was wide open. She stopped, stared at it. She knew she'd closed it. She was absolutely certain. Jennifer walked into the bathroom and closed the curtain again. Firmly. All the way. "I'm just tired," she told herself. "I probably left it open without realizing." But deep down, she didn't believe that. The shower curtain incident happened again the next night, and the night after that. Every single time Jennifer closed it, within hours, it would be open again. She started testing herself. She would close the curtain, look at it, memorize the way it looked, then leave the room. 5 minutes later, open. 10 minutes later, open. It didn't matter how long she waited. The curtain would not stay closed. Then she started noticing other things. Shadows moving in her peripheral vision. Dark shapes that vanished when she turned to look directly at them. Cold spots in certain rooms, places where the temperature would drop 10, 15 degrees for no reason. And the smell. Aftershave. Strong, old-fashioned aftershave. The kind her grandfather used to wear. It would appear suddenly, in the hallway, in her bedroom, following her from room to room like an invisible presence. Jennifer tried to rationalize it. Old house smell, she thought. Previous owner's cologne still lingering in the carpets. But the smell was fresh. As if someone had just applied it. As if someone was standing right next to her. 3 weeks into living in the house, Jennifer heard the voices. She was alone in the kitchen making dinner when she heard people talking. Not from outside. Not from a TV or radio. The voices were coming from inside the house. Muffled, indistinct, like a conversation happening in another room. Jennifer turned off the stove and listened. The voices were coming from upstairs. She grabbed a knife from the counter, her heart pounding, and slowly climbed the stairs. The voices grew louder as she approached the landing. She could almost make out words now. A man's voice and a woman's voice, talking back and forth. They sounded happy, laughing together. Jennifer reached the top of the stairs. The voices were coming from the master bedroom. Her bedroom. She pushed the door open. The voices stopped. Instantly, Completely, the room was empty. No one there. Just her furniture, her belongings, and an overwhelming sense that she had interrupted something. Jennifer stood in the doorway, knife trembling in her hand, and whispered, "Hello?" Silence. But the air felt thick, heavy with unseen presence. Jennifer called her mother that night. She tried to explain what was happening, the shower curtain, the shadows, the voices. Her mother was sympathetic but dismissive. "You're in a new place, honey. Your mind is playing tricks. Give it time." But Jennifer knew it wasn't her imagination. She started researching the house. Who had lived there before? Had anything happened there? She found records of the previous owner, a man named Eli Jones. Eli had built the house himself decades ago for his wife. She was the love of his life. They'd lived there together for over 30 years. Then his wife died. Eli was devastated, completely broken by the loss. Friends and neighbors said he was never the same after she passed. He stayed in the house alone for years, surrounded by memories of her, unable to let go. And then, 7 months before Jennifer moved in, Eli died of cancer. In this house. Jennifer sat at her computer, staring at Eli's obituary photo. He looked kind, gentle, sad. And suddenly, she understood. The aftershave, the voices, the feeling of being watched. Eli hadn't left. Knowing who was haunting the house didn't make it easier. If anything, it made it worse. Because now Jennifer understood that she was living with someone's grief, someone's desperate, clinging refusal to move on. The activity escalated. Objects started moving on their own. Picture frames would be face down when she came home. Doors she'd left open would be closed. Doors she'd left closed would be standing wide open. One night, she woke at 3 a.m. to the sound of footsteps. Heavy footsteps. Walking down the hallway. Coming toward her bedroom. Jennifer lay frozen in bed, covers pulled to her chin, listening. The footsteps stopped at her door. She could see the shadow underneath, blocking the light from the hallway. Someone, or something, was standing right outside her room. The doorknob began to turn. Slowly. Jennifer couldn't breathe, couldn't move, could only watch as the door began to open. And then it stopped. The doorknob released. The shadow moved away. The footsteps retreated back down the hallway. Jennifer didn't sleep the rest of that night. She decided to throw a housewarming party. Maybe having people over would help. Maybe the presence of life, laughter, conversation, friends, would push back whatever was haunting this place. The party started well. Friends arrived, music played, drinks were poured. But Jennifer noticed something strange. Several guests kept glancing toward the stairs, looking uncomfortable. One friend pulled her aside and asked, "Who's that man upstairs?" Jennifer felt her blood run cold. "What man?" "I keep seeing someone standing at the top of the stairs," her friend said. "Just watching us. I thought it was one of your guests, but he never comes down." Jennifer looked toward the staircase. Empty. Another guest, someone Jennifer barely knew, approached her later in the evening. "I need to tell you something," the woman said quietly. "I'm sensitive to these things, and there's someone here who doesn't want you in this house." Jennifer's hands began to shake. "What do you mean?" "An older man. He's angry. He thinks you're an intruder. This was his home, his life, and you're ruining it." The party ended early. Jennifer couldn't shake what the woman had said. She was an intruder. In Eli's eyes, she was destroying his home. That's when the attack started. Jennifer was walking down the stairs one morning when she felt hands on her back. Not just a touch. A shove. She tumbled forward, arms flailing, barely catching herself on the railing before she hit the bottom. She stood there, gasping, looking back up the stairs. Empty. But she had felt those hands. Solid. Real. Pushing her with force. Someone had tried to hurt her. A few days later, she was carrying laundry up from the basement. The basement stairs were narrow, steep, poorly lit. As she reached the top step, she felt it again. A hand. Grabbing her ankle. She screamed and kicked, dropping the laundry basket, scrambling up the last few steps. She spun around, heart hammering. No one there. Just the dark stairwell leading down into the basement. But she could still feel where the hand had gripped her. The pressure. The cold fingers wrapping around her ankle. Jennifer ran to her bedroom and locked the door. She called her mother, sobbing. "I can't stay here. Something is trying to hurt me." Her mother finally believed her. "Then get out. Get out now." But leaving wasn't simple. Jennifer had invested everything into this house. Her savings. Her dreams. She couldn't just abandon it. She decided to try communicating. One night, she sat in the living room and spoke out loud to the empty house. "Eli, if you're here, I know this was your home. I know you loved your wife. I'm not trying to erase that. I need to live here too. Can't we share this space?" Silence. Then, a sound from upstairs. A long, slow scraping noise. Like something heavy being dragged across the floor. Jennifer's courage failed her. She didn't go upstairs to investigate. The next morning, she found deep scratches in the hardwood floor of her bedroom. 3 parallel gouges, each about 4 feet long, as if someone had dragged something with claws across the wood. That was Eli's answer. He didn't want to share. Jennifer contacted a local paranormal investigation team. They came to the house with equipment, cameras, EMF readers, voice recorders. What they captured was chilling. The paranormal team spent an entire night in the house. They set up cameras in every room, left voice recorders running, monitored electromagnetic fields for unusual activity. At 2:17 in the morning, every piece of equipment went haywire. EMF readers spiked to maximum levels. Camera batteries that had been fully charged suddenly died. Temperature sensors recorded a 40-degree drop in the master bedroom in less than 30 seconds. And on the voice recorder left in the hallway, they captured something. A voice. Male. Old. It said 3 words. Get out now. The team played the recording for Jennifer. The voice was furious. Not sad. Not lonely. Angry. This entity is not benevolent, the lead investigator told her. Whatever attachment this spirit has to the house, it's become aggressive. You're in danger if you stay here. Jennifer felt tears sliding down her cheeks. She tried to understand, tried to be sympathetic to Eli's grief, but he didn't want understanding. He wanted her gone. One of the investigators pulled her aside privately. "There's something else," he said quietly. "We think there might be 2 entities here." Jennifer's stomach dropped. 2? Eli and his wife. The investigator explained. "We recorded 2 different voices on our equipment. The male voice, that was aggressive, territorial, but there was also a female voice, softer. She said, 'I'm sorry.'" Jennifer felt a chill run through her entire body. "We think," the investigator continued, "that Eli's wife might still be here too, trapped. Maybe she died in this house and never moved on. And when Eli died, consumed by grief and unable to let go, he stayed behind to be with her." "But why is he attacking me?" Jennifer whispered. "Because you're alive," the investigator said simply. "You represent everything he lost: life, a future, the ability to make this house a home, and he can't stand it." That night, Jennifer tried one more time to communicate. She stood in the master bedroom, the room where Eli had likely died, and spoke to the darkness. "Eli, I know you're here. I know your wife is here too. I can't imagine the pain you're feeling. But I'm just a young woman trying to live my life. I don't want to fight you. If you need me to leave, I'll leave. Just, please, stop hurting me." For a moment, nothing. Then the temperature plummeted, and Jennifer heard breathing. Right behind her. She spun around. No one there, but the breathing continued, ragged, labored, like someone struggling for air. Jennifer ran from the room. She grabbed her car keys, her phone, and a bag of clothes. She left the house that night and never stayed there alone again. Friends helped her pack her belongings over the following weeks. Every time they entered the house, they felt it, the oppressive weight of something watching them. One friend reported seeing a figure standing in the upstairs window as they loaded the moving truck. An old man, just standing there, staring down at them. Another friend refused to go into the basement after hearing footsteps following her down the stairs, even though she was alone. The shower curtain, even on the final day, was found wide open. Jennifer put the house up for sale immediately. She disclosed everything to potential buyers: the history, the experiences, the paranormal investigations. Most people walked away immediately. But one couple, older, experienced with spiritual matters, as they called it, made an offer. They believed they could help Eli and his wife move on. Jennifer accepted their offer. She just wanted out. On the day of closing, she drove past the house one last time, and she saw him standing in the upstairs window. Eli? She couldn't see details, just a silhouette, but she knew it was him. He was watching her leave. The new owners moved in with good intentions. They performed cleansing rituals, burned sage, brought in a medium to communicate with the spirits. For a while, it seemed to work. The activity quieted. The house felt calmer. But 6 months later, Jennifer received a phone call. It was the wife from the couple who'd bought the house. "I need to tell you something," the woman said, her voice shaking. "It's starting again. The activity. It was quiet for months, but now it's worse than what you described." Jennifer's heart sank. "What's happening?" "My husband has become obsessed with the house. He spends hours in the master bedroom, just sitting there, staring at nothing. When I try to talk to him, he gets angry, tells me to leave him alone. It's like he's not himself anymore." The woman's voice dropped to a whisper. "Last night, I heard him talking to someone. I went upstairs and found him standing in the bedroom, having a full conversation with empty air. And Jennifer, he was calling someone darling. He was talking to a woman who wasn't there." Jennifer felt ice in her veins. Eli hadn't moved on. He'd simply found a new way to stay. The woman called Jennifer 3 more times over the following weeks. Each time she sounded more desperate. Her husband had stopped sleeping in their bedroom. He spent every night in the master bedroom, the room where Eli had died. He stopped going to work. He barely ate. All he wanted to do was stay in that room. "It's like he's been taken over," the woman sobbed during the last call. "He's not my husband anymore. He looks at me like I'm a stranger, like I'm intruding." Jennifer tried to help. She gave the woman contact information for the paranormal team, recommended priests, mediums, anyone who might be able to help. But the call stopped. Jennifer tried calling back multiple times. No answer. Weeks passed. Then Jennifer saw the house listed for sale again. She contacted the real estate agent. What happened to the previous owners? The agent was reluctant to discuss it. Had to leave quickly. Family emergency. The husband had some kind of breakdown. He's in a facility now, getting help. Jennifer's blood ran cold. A breakdown. Or was it something else? Had Eli somehow possessed him? Jennifer's story was picked up by a television show called A Haunting. They produced an episode about her experiences, titled Eternal Grief. The episode aired in 2012. Thousands of people watched it, and some of those people decided to visit the house. The house in Warsaw, Indiana, became a destination for paranormal enthusiasts. People would drive by, take photos. Some even tried to break in to experience the haunting for themselves. The house went through 3 more owners over the next 5 years. None of them stayed longer than 18 months. Each one reported similar experiences, voices, shadows, objects moving, the overwhelming feeling of being unwanted in their own home. One owner tried to renovate, knocking down walls, updating the kitchen, replacing the old hardwood floors. The activity became violent. Tools would disappear. Walls that had been repaired would show new damage the next morning. The contractor refused to finish the job after he was locked in the basement for 3 hours. The door somehow jammed from the outside, even though he was alone in the house. It was clear. Eli did not want his house changed. This was his home, built with his own hands, for his wife. And he would defend it, no matter what. Jennifer eventually moved far away from Indiana. She rebuilt her life, found a new home, tried to put the experience behind her. But she never forgot. Years later, she became a paranormal investigator herself, co-hosting a podcast called The United States of Paranormal. She uses her experience to help others who are going through similar hauntings. The most important thing, she tells people, is to trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Don't ignore it. Don't rationalize it. Get help. She also warns people about the dangers of trying to communicate with spirits. I thought if I was kind, if I was understanding, Eli would leave me alone. But some spirits don't want understanding. Some spirits are so consumed by grief or anger that they can't see past their own pain, and they'll hurt you without even realizing what they're doing. Jennifer still has nightmares about the house. Dreams where she's back in the master bedroom and she can hear Eli breathing behind her. Dreams where she's climbing the basement stairs and feels that cold hand wrapping around her ankle. Dreams where she opens the shower curtain and finds someone standing in the bathtub, staring at her with empty, hollow eyes. She wakes up gasping, checking to make sure she's in her home. Not that one. The house in Warsaw still stands today. It's been occupied on and off over the years. Current records show it's listed as a rental property, though finding long-term tenants has proven difficult. Local paranormal groups still visit occasionally, with permission from the owners to conduct investigations. The activity continues. In 2021, a paranormal team captured video footage inside the master bedroom. The video shows an empty room. Then suddenly, a shadow figure appears in the doorway. Tall, male, standing perfectly still. The figure remains visible for exactly 7 seconds, then vanishes. The team also recorded EVP, electronic voice phenomena, throughout the house. In the basement, they captured a voice saying, "Mine." In the hallway, they captured breathing sounds, though no one was there. And in the master bedroom, they captured something that made them leave immediately. A voice, clear as day, saying, "She's waiting for me." The team leader later explained, "Whatever is in that house, it's not just residual energy. It's intelligent, it's aware, and it's not alone. Eli is still there, and so is his wife. They're trapped in an eternal loop of grief and love, unable to move forward, unable to let go." There's a theory among paranormal researchers about places like this. Places where intense emotion, particularly grief, becomes embedded in the physical space. When someone dies in a state of profound emotional distress, unable to accept their death, unable to let go of what they've lost, they can become anchored to a location. The house becomes a prison, not for the living, but for the dead. Eli built that house with his own hands. Every nail he hammered, every board he placed, was an act of love for his wife. When she died, the house became a shrine to her memory. And when Eli died, he couldn't leave, because leaving would mean abandoning her. Some researchers believe that Eli's wife might actually be trying to move on, but Eli won't let her. That's why investigators sometimes hear her voice saying, "I'm sorry." She's apologizing for being trapped, for her husband's actions, for the pain they're causing the living. But she can't break free of Eli's grief. His love has become a cage, and anyone who enters that house, anyone who tries to make it their home, becomes a threat to his eternal vigil. Jennifer was interviewed again in 2023. She was asked if she would ever go back to the house. Her answer was immediate and firm. Never, not for any amount of money, not for any reason. The interviewer pressed her, "But you investigate paranormal locations now. You face haunted places all the time. What makes this house different?" Jennifer was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "Most hauntings, even the scary ones, are just echoes, residual energy, like a recording playing over and over. They can't really hurt you. But that house has something active in it, something that thinks, something that feels, and something that hates the idea of anyone living there besides Eli and his wife. I've investigated dozens of locations since then. I've encountered angry spirits, violent poltergeists, all kinds of phenomena, but I've never felt anything as intensely possessive as what's in that house. Eli doesn't just want you gone. He wants you to suffer for daring to intrude on his grief. And that's something I never want to face again." The interviewer asked one final question. Do you think Eli will ever move on? Jennifer shook her head slowly. No, I think he'll be there forever, waiting for a reunion with his wife that can never truly happen, trapped by love that's become poison. There have been attempts to cleanse the house. Religious ceremonies, smudging rituals, blessing by priests from multiple denominations. None of it worked. One priest who attempted an exorcism reported feeling physically ill within minutes of beginning the ritual. I've performed dozens of blessings and exorcisms, he later said. I've never encountered resistance like that. It was as if the house itself was fighting back. The temperature dropped so low I could see my breath. My holy water froze solid in the bottle, and I heard a voice, so full of rage and pain, telling me to get out. The priest left before completing the ritual. He never returned. A medium who was brought in to try to help Eli cross over had a terrifying experience. She claims that during her attempt to communicate, Eli's spirit became so agitated that objects in the room began flying off shelves. But the most disturbing part was what she felt when she opened herself to his energy. I felt his grief, she said later, visibly shaken. It was like drowning, like being pulled under waves of sorrow so intense it was physical pain. He's been feeling that way for years, decades, and it's driven him mad. His wife is there, but she's fading, like she's being slowly consumed by his grief. And the worst part, I don't think he even realizes what he's doing to her. Is it real? The evidence suggests yes. Jennifer's experiences were documented by professional paranormal investigators. Multiple witnesses, including people who had never met Jennifer, reported seeing and hearing the same phenomena. The house has had consistent reports of activity across multiple owners and residents. Audio recordings, video footage, photographs, all show unexplained phenomena. This isn't a case of one person's imagination or a hoax. Something is genuinely happening in that house. Whether you believe it's the spirit of Eli Jones or some other explanation, the fact remains that people have experienced real terror there. People have been physically attacked. People have fled in fear. People have had their lives disrupted, their mental health affected, their sense of safety shattered. The house in Warsaw, Indiana, stands as a testament to the power of grief. Not the healthy kind of grief, the kind that allows us to remember, honor, and eventually heal, but the toxic kind. The kind that refuses to let go. The kind that becomes obsession. And when that kind of grief doesn't end with death, it becomes something else entirely. Something dangerous. There are lessons in Jennifer's story. First, when buying a home, always research its history. Deaths in a house don't have to be disclosed in most states, but you can find records if you dig deep enough. Second, trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, if you feel uncomfortable or unwelcome in your own home, don't ignore it. Third, not all hauntings can be resolved. Sometimes, The best option is to leave. Jennifer tried everything. She tried being understanding. She tried communicating. She brought in professionals. None of it worked. Because Eli didn't want resolution. He wanted his house back, his life back, his wife back. And since he couldn't have any of those things, he would make sure no one else could have them either. That's the tragedy of this haunting. Eli isn't evil. He's in pain. But pain, especially pain that's lasted for years, for decades, can twist even the kindest soul into something unrecognizable. And that's what happened to Eli Jones. His love for his wife, once beautiful and pure, has become a curse. For him, for his wife's spirit, and for anyone unlucky enough to try to live in his house. Jennifer has moved on with her life. She's happy now, or as happy as someone can be after experiencing something so traumatic. She uses her story to help others. Through her podcast, she talks to people who are going through similar experiences. She offers advice, support, and most importantly, validation. So many people are afraid to talk about their experiences, she says. They think people will think they're crazy, but I know it's real. I lived it, and if my story helps even one person feel less alone, then everything I went through was worth it. But she admits she still thinks about the house. Wonders who's living there now. Wonders if they're experiencing the same things she did. Wonders if Eli is still standing at that upstairs window, watching, waiting, protecting what he believes is his. She also wonders about Eli's wife. Is she still trapped there? Does she want to be? Or is she desperately trying to break free, but can't because Eli's grief holds her there like invisible chains? These questions haunt Jennifer, perhaps even more than the memories of being physically attacked. Because she knows, somewhere in Warsaw, Indiana, two souls are locked in an eternal embrace of love and suffering. And there's nothing anyone can do about it. The house still appears in online listings from time to time. Each time it goes up for sale, paranormal enthusiasts take notice. Comment sections fill with people sharing what they know about its history. Warning potential buyers. Telling Jennifer's story. Some people are fascinated, drawn to the idea of living in a famous haunted house. Others are appropriately terrified. Real estate agents who've had to show the property report feeling uncomfortable there. I've sold hundreds of houses, one agent said. And I can usually separate my personal feelings from professional duty. But that house, I showed it exactly once. Never again. The whole time I was there, I felt like someone was standing behind me. When I turned around, nothing. But the feeling never went away. And when we went upstairs, I swear I heard someone breathing in one of the bedrooms. Heavy, labored breathing, like someone very sick. The potential buyers left after 10 minutes. Said they didn't feel right about the place. I didn't argue. The house has been photographed countless times by paranormal investigators and curious visitors. In many of these photographs, especially those taken at night, anomalies appear. A figure in the upstairs window. Shadows that don't match any physical objects. Orbs of light, though skeptics dismiss these as dust or camera artifacts. But it's the figure that appears most often. Always in the same window. Always watching. So if you ever find yourself looking for a home, and you come across a beautiful house in Warsaw, Indiana, a house that seems perfect, a house that's been on the market for a suspiciously long time, a house with a price that seems too good to be true, remember Jennifer's story. Remember that some homes carry more than just memories. They carry trauma, grief, pain, and sometimes they carry the dead, not peacefully resting spirits who mean no harm, but tortured souls who cannot or will not let go. Before you sign those papers, before you hand over that down payment, before you pack your belongings and make that house your home, ask yourself, do you really want to share your space with someone who's been waiting, watching, guarding that house for decades? Someone who will see you as the intruder? Someone who will do anything to drive you out? Because once you move in, you're inside. Leaving becomes so much harder than you'd think. Not just financially, not just practically, but emotionally. Because part of you will wonder, if you stay, if you fight back, can you win? And the answer, at least in Eli's house, is no. This has been the true story of Jennifer Patterson, a young woman who bought her dream home and found herself trapped in someone else's nightmare. A nightmare of eternal grief, endless longing, and love that became poison. The house still stands in Warsaw, Indiana. Eli is still there. His wife is still there. And they will always be there. Trapped in a moment they can never escape. A moment of loss so profound that death itself couldn't end it. The next time you hear a strange sound in your house, the next time you feel a cold spot that shouldn't be there, the next time something is moved and you know you didn't move it, remember, you might not be alone, and whoever or whatever is sharing your space might not want you there. Sweet dreams. And whatever you do, don't forget to close the shower curtain.